Watching this league grow has been so special. I'm just so excited for not only us coming out of university now, but the ones to come too, right? Like they have that to look up to. It makes me excited because maybe I can be one of those players that one of those little girls can look up to as well.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today on the show, I'm joined by Katia Pelowich, a forward from Stouffville, Ontario, who is in her final season of collegiate hockey with Concordia University. Earlier this year, she represented Team Canada at the FISU Winter World University Games in Italy, earning silver as an assistant captain, an experience that added yet another chapter to an already impressive collegiate career. Katja, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining. We have so much to cover, so I want to go ahead and dive in. And as this is your first time on the show, the tradition, one of two in this episode, is going to be that we have to start back at the beginning of your career. Okay? So growing up, as I mentioned, in Stouffville, Ontario, do you remember what it was that first drew you to hockey?
Yes. I mean, Stouffville, if you know Stouffville, it's a very hockey-oriented community. I mean, I didn't know that prior to starting, but both my parents were dancers, and what drew me in was my brother, my older brother. I have two younger siblings as well, but my older brother, he started, and I was actually in dance. And my parents asked me, and they were like, "Do you want to start?" And I playing hockey, and I was like, "No." And then I saw him playing, and I was like, "I want to do that." So then I had to wait a year, and then I went in playing hockey when I was 7. But my parents actually had me in skating prior to that too, when I was 2. Um, and they always had me in hockey skates, even when I was in figure skating. They kept me in hockey skates, which I find super interesting as well.
Your junior career you spent with the Toronto Leaside Wildcats in the Ontario Women's Hockey League. Um, when you reflect on your time in that program, what about that time do you think really stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't necessarily big standout moment, but more so the little things, right? Like you're playing the highest level you can at that time, and just things like getting to the rink 2 hours before. That's an adjustment that you need to get used to, right? And then um, just the commitment of all the girls at that level too. Everyone wants to play at that level. Everybody wants to potentially move on to the collegiate level, right? And I think something that really stuck with me through that time is probably just hard work pays off. And I had never worn a letter prior to my second year at the junior level, and I was named captain in my second year. So I think that's something that really stands out to me as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because being a captain or having a letter and being a part of a leadership team has been literally a part of your entire journey, junior, collegiate, also internationally. Um, when you think about wearing those letters, whatever letter it may be, what does it mean to you to have that honor of being able? I know it's just I always say, I know it's just a letter, and anyone can be a leader on the team, but you actually got a chance to wear letters at various levels. What does it mean to you to be able to have that letter sewn on that jersey of yours?
I mean, at first, like even when I was 7, I never had a letter. I was never one of those little kids that got a letter or whatever. Being in junior and just being not handed, I don't want to say handed the seed, but just given that opportunity to represent the team and wear that C on your jersey is already a huge honor. But just talking to my coaches at that time, and they just really respected my work ethic, and that's kind of just what I've stuck to. And then moving into like my collegiate level, I found my voice, I think, more than just the hard work and work ethic side. So being able to speak in the dressing room when all the girls are looking at you when you sit down in between periods. You learn those things and trying not to be like the player that was named captain prior to you. You can take things from them, but you're your own person, and I think that's something that really, really sticks with me.
Oh, spoken like a true leader and spoken like somebody who, when I hear that, I hear a lot of maturity and growth, right? It's as you mentioned, it's one thing to get that letter early on in your career, but as you get older, you start to maybe understand it a little bit differently. And also, as you mentioned, you can kind of pick apart what makes other people a great leader and work that into your own growth and development throughout the sport.
Absolutely.
That's fascinating. Um, you had mentioned your coaches and how they started to trust you and they started to believe in you and those sorts of things. Maybe when you think, especially specifically about your junior career, because that can be really obviously that's a big part of defining an important part of your life. When you think about coaches and you think about those maybe early mentors, what was like, was there anyone in particular that stands out to you that really pushed you or that pushed you, of course, in all the right kind of ways and challenged you and helped you to grow and develop, especially into the leader and player that you are now?
I mean, if you look back at like my entire career, and I'm jumping back to all the way at the beginning, I played boys hockey until I was 12. So that was an adjustment jumping to girls hockey for me. But um, there's a coach that stands out to me. He was my first rep coach, and his name was Justin Rogers. And I was a defense at the time. I started out as a defense, and he would tell me to stay on the blue line. And I just stayed on the blue line. So, and now, like, looking back and being able to coach female athletes, we take everything so literal. Like, you tell a female athlete to go stand on the blue line, they're gonna go do that, right? So, I think something that I learned from him was, yes, of course, you wanna listen to what the coach is saying, but also actually playing the game as well. So, that's something I've carried with me throughout my career and being able to coach now the younger generation of female athletes as well. So he was my first rep coach, so he's someone that stood out to me, right off the bat. I didn't really realize that when I was younger, obviously, but now looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I just literally stood on the blue line. Maybe that's why I'm not a defense anymore, but
Yeah. I was gonna ask you why you maybe switched you moved positions, but I think you might have just answered it, and
I
the
think,
coach was like,
yeah.
"Listen, we gotta get her off that blue line. We don't know how to." That's fantastic. Could you because you brought it up and I think it's an important part of your hockey journey, but maybe talk about the coaching. Talk about what that has meant for you to have gone through, especially now more than ever, having those female role models, having those women in the sport for other women to look up to, young girls to look up to. That matters a lot more now more than ever. Of course, it's always mattered, but now more than ever. Um, what does it mean to you to be able to coach, and what are some of the other lessons that you've learned about yourself through those coaching experiences that you've had?
I mean, I'm someone that never wants to be away from the rink, so even in the summers, like, I'm coaching, finding any ice time I can to help out and things like that. So this past summer, something really stood out to me, and I was coaching, it was split, it was boys and girls on the ice, but they were younger, and one of the questions you always ask, like, "Oh, who's your favorite hockey player?" Right? And some of them were mentioning NHL players, and then you hear people saying, the girls starting to say PW players, and that's just so cool to me, right? Like, it's it makes me so excited, not only for our generation, but the one to come as well, and, I think that just makes me wanna continue doing it, whether it's on the coaching side or playing side. Obviously, like, I wanna play for as long as I can, but like I said, in the summers, even trying to give back and do those kind of things, like, that's something that makes me wanna stick with it.
How motivating is it then for you? to see, like, you're seeing, it's one thing anecdotally that, like, of course we're seeing more young girls looking up to PWHL players, but you're seeing it firsthand, like you have experienced it. How much more motivating is it for you to not only be obviously a great coach, a great player, but make sure that you're also being a great person, so that you can also, because you are, if, you are right now and will continue to be a role model for the next generation as well.
Yes, I like I said, it just makes me so beyond excited, and, like, this again, looking back on this past summer as well, the hockey school I was working for, the jerseys that they were wearing were the PW jerseys. Like, they got replicas of those jerseys, and just, like, seeing that, and a little part of me is like, "Oh, I wish I had that when I was younger," right? But just being able to see that now, and it's so motivating, right? Just to keep going and showing them that this younger generation that there is something to look forward to now, something bigger, right? Like, you don't only have that collegiate level now. There's something beyond, and there's something to work for. So just really encouraging that younger generation to keep working, and there's something big to achieve at that.
I I always enjoy the opportunity to speak with a Canadian who decided to stay in Canada. So I wanted to hear from you, what went into the decision for you to stay in Canada and pursue, at that point it was St. Thomas, and now on to Concordia, but why you chose to stay in Canada as opposed to going more, maybe more the conventional route through the NCAA.
So I feel like my answer is going to be different than a lot of other people's, but I obviously I wanted to go NCAA originally when I was in high school, and in my grade 11 year, I saw a lot of my teammates being pulled out of the dressing room to talk to scouts and talk to coaches and things like that, and it was a little discouraging, right? Like, you're sitting in there and it's kind of, like, why not me? But then I took a step back and I looked at it, and it's like, well, I'm not really prioritizing my academics, right? It was more, okay, I'm gonna go to the hockey side, right? I'm working hard in hockey, working hard off the ice, things like that. But when it came to school, I didn't really prioritize that. And I think that was something that really set me back. And then in my grade 12 year, my parents sat me down, they talked to me, and they knew what I wanted, and I knew what I wanted as well. And they were like, you need to go talk to all of your teachers right off the bat. Tell them, this is what happened. This is what I want to do. This is what's like where I'm going to go. And I did that, and they all respected me. And when I was reaching out to teams, I said, this was my average last year, but this is what I'm doing this year. And just being honest with them, really. And I think that was a big, obviously, lesson for me, is that you do need to be a student athlete,
Mm,
right?
mm, mm.
But I didn't really necessarily know that at the time, and I had offers from Division 3 schools. I had a couple U Sport offers, and, um, I none of them felt necessarily right to me, and I had a teammate who I played junior with, and she went to St. Thomas, and she told me to reach out to Peter, and I think it was, like, October of grade 12, so 2019, and she's like, "Reach out to Peter," and I was like, I'm a homebody, that's far. Going from Ontario to New Brunswick, I was like, "Nope, I wanna stay close to home." And, then again, you see those players being pulled out of the dressing room and things like that, and I'm like, "Oh, this is my grade 12 year." And so I reached out to Peter again, or sorry, Erin Arsenault reached out, and she's like, "I think you should reach out to Peter." And this was in January. And I was like, fine, because it's like, it's kind of like that crunch time. And then within a week, I was on a flight with my mom flying out to New Brunswick, and she actually wasn't going to come with me because the flights were so expensive. But she came with me, and I went on this tour, and it was kind of like yeah, I'll go and see what happens and what comes out of it. And I went, and my mom offered. to buy me a sweater. And that seems like such a little thing, but it was it meant everything to me because all the NCAA tours that we went on when we were kids and like with your younger teens, all my teammates were getting sweaters and I was like, please can I get one? And my mom's like, oh, you don't need that. And then she offered to buy me one and I was like, wow, you're feeling what I'm feeling right now. Like, this is my new home. And it just really, really clicked to me and or clicked with me and I wouldn't change it for the world. I loved my time there. And I think even if I could go back and fix um, my grade 11 marks, I don't necessarily think I would because it taught me such a valuable lesson. And I knew once I got into university or even grade 12 that I would never let academics come in the way of my athletics ever again.
Have you been able to find that successful balance between academics and your athletics? Have you been able to figure that out?
Absolutely have been an academic all Canadian
Mhm.
every year. I've been named to the dean's list and things like that. It wasn't necessarily a lack of like it was just a lack of interest, I think, and just finding the right place and being with the right people really helped me and St. Thomas is a super small school too, so just really getting to know my professors and things like that and and knowing that everybody else is also in the same boat as you too. You're not going through it alone. We're all student athletes on the team, so just really talking to your teammates as well and connecting with them on that level.
Great, I love that. Um, I had mentioned earlier about, or we had talked a little bit about being a leader. What does leadership mean to you? And maybe almost more importantly, how has it changed since your junior career to now sitting in your final year of collegiate hockey?
It's a big question.
Mhm. Mhm.
No, leadership means I don't I don't really necessarily think about it, if that makes sense. Like I don't go into a team or going into a new season and things like that. It's like, oh, I need to be a leader, right? Like I go into a season or go into a game or whatever it might be, and it's just I need to be me, and that's something that I've really, really worked on, and just coming to the rink and whether it's being early, getting on the ice, doing those extra reps, things like that, I think really form you into a leader. And there's so many players like that on your team, right? You're looking at them, and those are the ones that push you. You look at them and you're like, oh, I want to be like her, right? And there were players like that on my team prior to being named captain, and I looked at them and I was like, I want to be like that. I want to I want to do what they're doing. Right? And, I think just being a leader is something that you can't think about, if that makes sense. Um, and just showing up and just doing what you love, and something that I've really learned is that, and not trying to fill the shoes of these big roles that came before you, right? And your coach like, my coach saw something in me that no one else has, and that really helped me flourish, I think.
Do you think, which I think leads well to my next question, could you talk about how you've grown not as a player, because we can see how you've grown as a player. And to no one's surprise, it has been an incredible collegiate career. But I want to know, how have these years at college, both programs, how have you grown as a person?
I think not only on the ice, but off the ice, like, my confidence has really flourished. I'm gonna go back to that word, um, and just whether it's in the classroom or at the rink, just taking those steps to go and talk to your professor and things like that, and just being proactive as well, um, and time management too,
Right.
I think, um, is a super huge part of being a student athlete. in whatever sport you're playing. If it's not on your resume, I think it should be on your resume. That's for sure, because essentially you're balancing 2 jobs at once, right? And I think just being able to do that is incredible on its own. Um, and yes, I think growing as a person would be my time management and my confidence going up to talking to professors when maybe I'm not understanding something, and realizing that we're all human, right? Like they understand that you have a life outside of school. So I think those are skills and tactics that I can carry with me for the rest of my life.
Mm. Good answer. Um, I don't want to skip over the fact that as we've talked about, there you did um, change programs after a tremendously successful time at St. Thomas. What was Maybe what went into that decision to change programs, and how did you find that adjustment to a new program, a new place, a new school, new people? It's a lot of new stuff after,
Yes.
becoming so familiar with a place that you were uncomfortable heading to in the first place.
Um, yeah, so I honestly had no idea in April or whenever our season ended, March, April-ish, like when we have our year-end meetings, I talked to Peter and I said, "I'm coming back." And I really felt like part of me felt like that was the right decision, and another part of me was like feeling like I needed something new. Um, Not against the school, not against the program, not against anything, because I absolutely loved my time there. I love all those people. But if you look at the academic side, I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in English, and I graduated with my Bachelor of Education. There was nothing more for me to do on the academic side at St. Thomas. So that was one factor. I was just going to go back and take a bunch of random courses and just play hockey. That was what I was gonna do at St. Thomas. Um, and then I actually roomed with Jordan Verbeek, who is the goalie at Concordia, when I was at FISU. And she talked a lot about the program here at Concordia, but it never crossed my mind at that time. But eventually it was like, where can I go that's gonna help me improve on the academic side and that athletic side as well. And I think if you look at the coaches that we have here at Concordia, that is something truly special. But also just being able to pursue my master's in sociology as well. Um, and then talking with Jordan and just hearing about their team first mentality and all of that stuff, just it kind of it was like a everything happens for a reason type of moment for me. And then I reached out to Julie and we had a conversation. But yeah, the adjustment for me was really, really hard, mm, only because I loved St. Thomas and loved St. Thomas so much that it was hard for me to adjust. Um, I mean, the girls here are wonderful, but just like you said, all the
Mhm.
new, like,
Mhm.
new city, new apartment, new
It's a long
teammates,
list. It's a long
yes,
list.
exactly, like, it
Yep.
it goes on and on, new number, like, just
Yep.
everything, right?
Yep.
So and then, like, let alone, like, learning new systems, and it's like, I don't have that much time to learn these new systems because I only have 1 year. But just really trying to stay where my feet are, I think is something that has helped me, get through this time. And I mean, I still reach out to all the girls at St. Thomas and stuff like that and talk to them. But, yeah, they've helped me. They were super supportive, and all the girls here and coaching staff have been awesome.
And what's it just in the time that you've had already in the new program, all of the again, the long list of new things that you're experiencing here. Um, what's it shown you? What's it proven to you about yourself?
I think, like I said before, just like being present, but also being okay with change, is something that has really helped me here. And I think prior to that, going to Italy and being okay with those changes and learning on the fly and things like that, I think that really helped me with this transition as well. Um, but yeah, just trying to connect with my teammates and tell them, look, I'm I'm missing St. Thomas and things like that. And they totally understand, or even talking to Julie or the coaches, just being like, I'm I'm struggling a little bit because I I don't know where to be on this face off, right? Like, and all these girls on my line have been here. So I'm like, I'm just trying to like figure that out, and I have. We had 9 preseason games, luckily, so I was able to figure it out. But um yeah, no, just really trying to ask questions and telling them and not trying to hide how I was feeling really helped me.
It's like someone's getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and that's something that's a mantra I like to live by. So I feel you on that one. I feel you on that one. Okay, so you mentioned Italy. Let's get to that. Let's talk about FISU and what that experience was like for you. What was that? What was it like to go there and have the opportunity to represent your country for the first time?
Once I got that call, honestly, I still think it hasn't really sunk in for me. Like, every time I think back on it, I'm like, did that really happen? Was it a dream? But when I got that call, I was actually in my teaching placement, and I was teaching grade eights at the time, and I kind of told my mentor teacher that this might come, and then she recorded it, and there's this whole thing. But I only listened to it once because I don't really like listening to myself speak. But it was just that, really, thank you. Like, it was just like I was just in complete shock. But um, yeah, I think the whole experience was it was a pinch me moment, and I think it was so surreal, but being able to represent your country and wear that jersey with your last name on it is something that you dream of, right? Like, ever since you start playing hockey, you're like, "Oh, that would be awesome," right? And actually being there and being able to live that is something that I will never forget and I will always be grateful for.
Yeah, and it's an experience that not every player has the opportunity to do. So you're doing something that, again, not everyone has that opportunity to do. And um, coming home with a silver medal, like that's huge. That's a huge accomplishment. Of course, it's not what everyone wants. Everyone wants to come home with that gold, but coming home with a silver medal is still an incredible accomplishment. When you think about that tournament and coming home with that silver, what did that tournament teach you about yourself? Also, what were some of those really cool moments that maybe away from the ice that really have stuck with you all of this time?
I mean, like you said, winning a silver medal is not what you want, right? Losing in the gold medal game, but I just promised myself throughout that entire tournament that I was going to do everything I could every time I was given the opportunity to step on that ice. And I honestly don't have any regrets looking back on it. I did everything I could. And um, if you look at the pictures, not the whole, like, not everybody on the team is smiling, but you look at a couple of us and we're smiling. And I think I was just really taking it all in. And I know we lost the game and it's not the result that you wanted, but it was just an unreal experience. And like my parents just said, your face said it all because they were there. My parents were there. My siblings were there. My uncle was there. So just having them in the stand as well and playing with the team, like with the Team Canada jersey on in front of them was another, again, pinch me moment, right? But um, yeah, I was just so grateful for that opportunity. But something that really stood out to me off the ice would be we went to Bardonecchia for the day and we were in the mountains and the coaches sat us all down and they explained like the red string theory ab- about how like there's a red string, an invisible red string that attaches like these. two people together that are destined to meet, and it might twist and tangle, but eventually, like, they'll meet. So they explained this to us, and then they gave us all like red string bracelets, and you had to go up to a player that wasn't your roommate or you didn't know them prior to coming to FISU, and you had to tell them what they bring to the team and gift this bracelet to them. And that's something that really stuck with me because, again, I think everybody there was just so present and so grateful to be there, but also that I do believe that we were all, like, maybe attached by this red string that brought us all there, and we were all meant to be there, right? And I think it was meant to be because look where I'm playing now. I'm playing with 3 of the girls that were there with me at FISU. So, that was something that really stood out to me.
And here I thought your answer was going to be something simple like, we're in Italy. It was beautiful, like, and that was going to be like a silly question. Why would I ask that question? Because you're in Italy. Of course, they're going to be just innately great experiences. But here you are, like, I'm speechless. That's an incredible experience that has stuck with you. I mean, I know that it wasn't too long ago, so of course it's going to stick with you still. But it sounds like that kind of mentality, or that sort of experience really clicked with you and something that you're
Mhm.
going to carry forward with you, obviously, as you wrap up your collegiate career, but as you embark on this next exciting chapter as well. You can kind of think back to, like, you were supposed to be here. This is where you were
Yes.
supposed to be. It may be windy, but it's exactly where you're supposed to be. I love that. Oh boy, I gotta look up this theory. Okay, so before we before we move on to what could be, or what you're looking forward to in this, what will be the next chapter of your career, I want to also ask about that experience, being able to play best on best, um, is a unique opportunity. How do you think it, or do you think it influenced your perception or your perspective on your path in hockey? Do you think that it's like, okay, yeah, like, this is, I've had success throughout my collegiate career, but like, I'm playing best on best and I'm right there with them and I'm motivated. This is the next, this was a great test for what will be next for me.
Yes, I think it, honestly motivated me more because the competition there, like, let alone, like, just in our team, right? Like you said, you're playing best on best. Like, we were chosen across the country to go and represent Canada for this tournament, and just seeing the amount of talent that is in U Sports, and obviously there's more. It's not just those girls that were selected, but just seeing that pool of talent really motivated me to want to learn and grow more. And even just seeing like little things that they were doing at the tournament too, it's like, oh, maybe I can try that, right? Like learning from them too, not just trying to seclude myself and but learning and flourishing, right? Like from them, um, is something that I think will help me. And just knowing that there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of um, amazing athletes across the world, but in U Sports, like there, it's a good there's a good group of girls and across the entire country.
Exactly. And that's why I always want to make a point to be able to talk about that when I have the opportunity to, because we need to change that perception that NCAA, of course, it's great. It's with no disrespect to that league, but there is so much special happening right here. And you're a perfect example of that. So, yes, let's scream that from the mountaintops, of course.
Yes.
Um, I want to, before we get to the second tradition of the show, which is the final buzzer segment of the show, which is more rapid fire and hopefully no follow up questions from this guy. No promises, I never do. Um, I do want to speak about the PWHL. Now, I know we spoke about it earlier, so there might be a little bit of overlap here, but forgive me because I want to really highlight this part, because this is right in front of you. This is the opportunity to be drafted. Speaking of best on best, into the best on best league that we have now in women's hockey is right in front of you. Um, what does that mean? What does it mean to have that right in front of you and to know we saw expansion this offseason? It's presumed there will be expansion next offseason. And it's just, I don't mean to say it, but I'm going to. The league is flourishing. We're seeing it happen. We're seeing it in front of our eyes. So you're about to embark on that. What does that all mean to you in your journey and how you're looking at that next step?
It means everything. It's so, so exciting. You I kinda try to put myself in the younger version of me's, like, shoes, and I'm like, "What would I be thinking?" And I would obviously be beyond excited, but again, like, you have to take these steps in order to get there, right? I don't think I would necessarily, like, change anything or whatever, like, even my academic path prior to knowing this, uh, WHL, right? Like, the only PWHL I knew prior to this was the Provincial Women's Hockey League that I played in Ontario, right? Like, my academic path, I got my Bachelor of Education or Bachelor of Arts in English, then my Bachelor of Education, and like we mentioned before, overseas was always an option, but it wasn't really talked about that much um, from where I grew up and where I was playing and things like that. But I was always like, oh, I can go teach abroad somewhere and maybe play hockey. I always knew I wanted to play hockey beyond university, but just seeing that there's something so close to home and watching this league grow has been so special. And it again, it makes me so like, I don't think there's another word, but I'm just so excited for not only us coming out of university now, but the ones to come too, right? Like, they have that to look up to, and it makes me excited because maybe I can be one of those players that one of those little girls can look up to as well.
Do you feel, and I'll make this my final question before the final buzzer, but do you feel any pressure? Because that's like, I know that we're heading into the third season. So I don't want to say things are ironed out because I mean it's just that's just not the reality of any leagues that's so early. But do you feel any pressure in continuing to be a part of the group that defines what this league will be now, as well as what this league will be years from now? Is there pressure? Do you feel with that? And maybe that's motivating. I know I would crumble under the pressure.
I mean, I think there's always gonna be that pressure, but, um, throughout if I've learned anything throughout my, collegiate career, it's that pressure is a privilege. When I first heard that, I was like, "What does that even mean?" But, um, I I went from if you look at my stats, I went in the first 2 years of university, I didn't really know how to put the puck in the net, and then you look at my last 2, um, and I did learn how to put the puck in the net, but I have never in my entire career felt that pressure on me in a game. And that first year when teams started noticing me, I went to my coach and my mental performance coach as well, and I was like, "What do I do? I feel like I have no time and space." And they both brought up that pressure as a privilege, and at first I was like, "Whatever that means," right? Like, but it truly is, and I think that's something that I'm going to continue carrying with me as well, but just embracing it. um, it sucks sometimes, don't get me wrong, but really just, embracing it and knowing that you do have that opportunity and why not try, right?
That's a really good answer. Okay, final buzzer. I'm gonna try not to ask a single follow up question. It's mostly just this is actually less a test for you and more a test for me. Are you ready to take the test?
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay, what is your go-to pregame meal?
Very plain, just chicken and rice, plain
Favorite
rice.
way? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Um, Favorite way to unwind after a big game?
Um, Honestly, just having whatever post-game meal that we have, um, and talking to whoever watched my game, whether it was in person or online, and kinda getting their perspective, but I'm someone that can just fall asleep right after a game, and I just crash. I get so tired.
Yes. Okay, what is a song or an artist that always gets you in the zone before puck?
I'm gonna go with AC/DC. It's classic. It's always been a go-to for me. Um, Ever since I played with the boys when I was younger, Thunderstruck, I'll always listen to it before a game. And a very different genre, but Last Breath by Future.
Okay, never heard that one, so that's homework for me. Um, any game day rituals or superstitions you won't skip?
Okay. I'm a very superstitious player, so we'll keep this short. But I have a sock collection. Um, so every game I will choose a pair of socks, but the socks cannot represent the team that we're playing in any way or have their colors in it. So I have like socks with like sayings, designs, things like that. But once I wear those socks for that season during a game, or not during the game, I wear them to the game. I can't wear them until the following season. So I
Okay.
just have a lot of socks.
You have officially taken the title of the most intense superstition pregame ritual that we've had on the show. So congratulations. Um,
Thank you.
was not prepared for that. That's fantastic. Is that okay? No, one follow. Is that always been the thing, or has that just been since your collegiate career? Do you remember?
Um,
I
no,
guess more
I
importantly is how did that start?
I don't really know how it started, I'm not gonna lie. I think my mom just, like, started buying me socks, and I would always wear them to the game, but more so, like, in my collegiate career that kind of transpired. It was, like, more like a, "Oh, I didn't play that well in these socks." And then it just, like I was like,
Stupid
"Oh,
socks.
yeah." But then I'll wear them the next because I'm not just gonna wear a pair of socks once, that would be
Once.
totally ridiculous, but, I
Yeah.
mean, it kind of is ridiculous
Well,
anyway, but
no judgment on my end. Where is your favorite spot to relax or hang out away from the rain?
I mean, I'm new to Montreal, so I don't really have like a favorite spot, but just hanging out with teammates, maybe going for a coffee or things like that. Being away from the rink, you need a break too sometimes, and just talking about things that don't necessarily involve hockey, um, or just coming home and reading a book or cooking a meal.
Nice and relaxing. Last one for you, and you've kind of expressed a ton of advice throughout this conversation, but I want to know to wrap things up today. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice before starting university hockey, what do you think it would be?
Um, it would be to believe in yourself. Um, Ask yourself, why not you? Um, Because there's always room to grow, to learn and grow.
Wow. Okay. That is a perfect place for us to call this conversation. But I want to say thank you so much, Katja, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on the show, share your story. It's been an absolute blast. Time flew by. I said it was going to be a lot shorter, and inevitably it got longer. So my apologies for that. But this has been an absolute blast, and I know I can confidently speak for so many people when we say we are rooting for you this final season. And we are especially rooting to hear your name called very soon at the PWHL draft. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you so much, Chris. It was awesome.
And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps us to continue bringing stories just like this one from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.